how pleased are you with what you saw out of the running game from Saturday night?
I thought we were effective, and we knew going into it that up there in Blacksburg, versus those guys, versus Bud Foster, he was going to have a plan to stop the run. I thought Kelly made us very dynamic in the first half, finding some runs for him, extending some plays. In the second half, it looked like, Bud switched it up, played a little bit more coverage, got his safeties closer to the box, and had us outnumbered, so we weren't able to be as effective in the second half. But, the guys found a way to do what they needed to do, to win the game. So overall, I think the numbers weren't as quite as high as they've been over the last couple of games, but just pleased with the fact that we were able to do what we needed to do to win the game.
I know a big part of your offense is Keller creating on the run, but how do you draw that line between wanting him to make plays and not, mitigating the shots that he's taking?
Good question. Well, for him, you can't take away what makes him special, and his legs give us an element that we haven't had in the past, even with Deshaun. But at the same time, too, he is your quarterback. You don't want him to take unnecessary shots. So he's doing a good job of not letting anybody get a clean hit on him. He understands when he needs to slide, when he needs to get down, and as a coordinator, Jeff and I just have to figure out when is the proper time to say, okay, no more design runs. Let's make sure that we protect him. But then at the same time, too, we know what he gives to our offense when you pick up that extra hat and let him run the football. So it's a balancing act, I would say.
I know you really don't know anything about a guy till you actually see him under the lights, but Kelly's in-game demeanor, did it kind of take you by surprise how calm he is? He's a lot like Deshaun in that sense as far as the way he acts towards things.
Right. Didn't take me by surprise. It's just we hadn't seen it, so you didn't know. And that's one thing we always say is until those guys get under the lights, you don't know how they're going to respond. He's always had a calm, collected, quiet demeanor about himself. He's loose enough to keep the other guys loose around him, but he's also focused enough. And so to see him perform in two big venues on the road with a lot of adversity, the way that he's responded just is a testament to who he is. And I think, again, it goes back to, just, how he's been brought up, where he comes from, and just the character of a young man.
How much does that go to his homework that he does on a defense and stuff like that?
That's one of the things that I think he benefited the most being around Deshaun is just how do you prepare as a quarterback. And just like Deshaun, you see him above and beyond what you ask him to do. He's in here on his own. He's already has his notes together. You see him, in between classes, whenever he has spare time, he's in here preparing. And I think that gives him that confidence and that calm demeanor. The same way as coaches, by the time we get to the game, we should be calm and have a good feeling because we prepared.
Tony, was there ever a week?
Was Kelly's running ability kind of a fail-safe for this offense on a night like Saturday when the running backs had 24 carries for 52 yards?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a fail-safe. I think it just adds an element to our game, and obviously anytime you can pick up a hat, and that's what that Robert defense is structured to do, is you get those safeties very close to the box, and in the run game you can't use your receivers to account for the blocking those guys, and so they always got one hat. So we knew that it was going to be tough sledding with the backs, just like in Boston College. It was going to be a dirty game. They weren't going to give us explosive runs, and anytime you have a runner like Kelly at quarterback, you can pick up that extra hat. Now you can balance out the defense, and you can neutralize and get your running back an extra hat on that guy. And then again, I think majority of the plays in the game was just Kelly, improvising and extending in the passing game as opposed to as many design quarterback runs.
Tony, was there ever did you guys as coaches ever take a wait-and-see approach with all the new guys on offense coming into the season? And when did that disappear during this stretch of running top 15 games?
You said the wait-and-see guys on offense?
Yeah, did you take any kind of wait-and-see approach heading into this season because there were so many new guys?
I think, the quarterback was not a wait and see. It's just how is he going to perform, under the pressure. But with the rest of those guys, Falcinelli's new. He's thrown right in there. You saw that we got Travis in there early, as a young guy, Amari, T, all those young guys. So I think from a depth standpoint, we knew that those guys were going to have to play early, and we weren't necessarily looking at the schedule and who we were playing. It's just we got to get those guys some action because we're going to need them throughout the course of the season. So I'd say with the quarterback, it was more not wait and see, it's just how is he going to perform under the pressure. And I think he's exceeded a lot of expectations. And the great thing is he's going to continue to get better. And I think his best football is still ahead of him as he continues, because he's learning something every single week. And that's what's so great about Kelly is you coach him on one thing from last week. Now you saw, for example, maybe setting the pocket too deep, holding the ball too long in the pocket. You saw that he was very decisive. He's go through his reads. They weren't there. He pulled it down and he knew when to run. So that's the encouraging thing, is that he's going to continue to get better, even though he's played pretty good so far this season.
I know you want to get to say that this offense with all the young players is still a work in progress, that you're still learning what they all can do, and that the passing game by extension is still a work in progress. What you are now is not what you'll be in game 12.
And no question. I think that there still is a young group We're still building that chemistry, every single day in practice, every single game that we play. The good thing is we've been challenged, early in the season, and so I think we know what kind of character we have, but we're still young. There's a lot of things that we can improve upon, and this is going to be great film for us to coach off of, because obviously coming out of it statistically, not where we're used to being, but we did what we needed to do to win the game, so there's a positive there. They went into a hostile environment, didn't turn the ball over, so we got the makings of being a very strong unit, but we still got to go back to work. There's a lot of each position, specifically at running back. We got to play better without the ball. I think when we get the ball, we get opportunities, we do a good job, but then we can be more physical without the ball. We can really impact the game, and then each coach is going to have things to coach off of, and that's what's encouraging is, we made it through a rough stretch here. We got 2 really, really big weeks coming up before we get to the open day, so we don't have an opportunity for any kind of letdown. I think the kids understand the standard. They understand the amount of preparation and what it takes to be successful, and we just got to keep driving at home every single day in practice. Next game is the biggest game on the schedule, and then each unit collectively get better. And it's kind of like 2015 where we kind of built. I think we get compared a lot to last year in 2016, but that was an offense that had 2 years of chemistry and continuity together, where this is a unit that just is kind of stepping on the scene, and each game I think we're going to get better.
I know you always want to come out and get a fast start on offense, but especially after the Louisville game kind of struggling early against Boston College, will that be even more of an emphasis coming off a big win?
Anytime we can get off to a fast start, and again, hats off to the defense. I mean, they're playing lights out, and when we can get off to a fast start, we can compliment those guys, because Brent wants to be very, very aggressive in what he does, and anytime that they can be aggressive, get a stop, and we're able to go put points on the board, it just allows them to pin their ears back even more, and they're going to be tough for anybody to handle, especially when they can be an aggressive. And then for us, I think that gives us confidence too when we get off to a fast start, because again, for so long around here, our identity's been kind of tied up in explosive plays, and what it's looking like is teams are kind of figuring that out, and they're saying, we're not going to give you those explosive plays right out of the gate, and guys made plays. Kelly broke some tackles. We were able to get off to a fast start, and then again it fed the defense, and it really complimented them. So for us, it's about confidence. It's being able to complement the defense, and then again, the area we got to improve upon is, especially from last week, is when we get off to a fast start, let's make sure that we finish it the way that we're capable of finishing. And again, we put ourselves in a bind there in the second half with a couple of negative plays. I took a chance on a first down with a pass, and ended up getting a sack. I say that sack's on me, even though it was a coverage sack. I could have done a better job there to help Kelly out. And so we just got to eliminate those negative plays down the stretch and finish with a dominant performance like the way we started.
Coach, CJ had helped you. Is the success you guys have had in the red zone, especially running the football in the red zone? I think you got 13 or 14 rushing touchdowns in the red zone already this year. Does that help you be able to, cause defense, because they know you can drive the ball and score? You don't need the big explosive.
The red zone was an emphasis for us from coming off of last year, where area we needed to improve. We had too many turnovers, and so that's something that gives us confidence. And again, really, it's what is the defense going to give us? And again, the closer you get to the goal line, the harder it is to throw the ball, because they got such a short field, and you got to be perfect. And anytime you can run the ball and continue to spread the defense out, because they got to honor the pass, it kind of plays into our favor. But each defense that we face is going to have their own flavor and personality in the red zone. And again, one of the things that we talk about all the time is we're going to do whatever it takes to win the football game. We're going to take our egos out of it, and if they're going to give us the run, we're going to run it. If we need to pass it, we're going to have to pass it. And so I think our guys take great pride in the preparation from the coaching staff and putting them in position to be successful. And then we're not going to ask them to do something that's unreasonable. We're going to ask them to do what's there, and that allows them to go out and play free and play fast.
Speaking of the red zone and the turnovers, CJ had the one fumble on his carry against Boston College. He didn't play the rest of the game. That was the second of the season. But I thought you had a lot of confidence putting it in on that 4th and goal. How important was that for him to get that confidence back?
That was huge for him. He's the one that started in the lead position coming out of fall camp, and obviously production warranted that Taven got an opportunity to start. But we knew that, and we know that it's going to take all 4 of those guys in that room, and they all got to prepare to a level of being a starter. And anytime you can get a young man in a position and have some success, it just boosts his confidence. And we're going to need CJ, and that's uncharacteristic of him. He's always had great ball security, and even on the phone when I talked to him versus the Boston College game, he's like, "Coach, I thought I had good ball security. I don't know what happened." I said, "Hey, forget it and drive on. We're going to move forward, and we're going to need him. And I need his leadership, with Travis and Taven, and teaching them, the standard in our room, because again, Wayne's not there, so CJ and Adam are the oldest guys in the room. They know what it takes. They know what it looks like. And it's their job, even though they may not be the starter, it's their job to drive that consistency in our room. And the only way they can do that is to be successful in the games and come out and practice every single day.
Speaking of the red zone, you actually have a game this week against Wake Forest. I was watching them, surprised how physical they are, especially down in that territory. That defensive line looks like they're making plays.
No question. It's probably the deepest defensive line that we've played all year. They got a ton of depth. They got a ton of experience. Their front seven, it looks like all those guys are returning starters at some point from last year. They got the two best safeties that we've probably played so far. Their safeties are really, really good. They're flying around. Heck, they had 17 tackles for loss versus Florida State. So it's going to be a challenge, and that's something that coming off of last week's game, we got to challenge our guys that, hey, this team that's coming in here is very, very capable. And guess what? They're 4-1, and they believe they should have won the last game that they played. They're coming in, with a chip on their shoulders, and they have the play to back it up. And that defensive line, they rotate guys. They play hard. They get off blocks. They don't stay blocked. They shoot gaps. So it's a big challenge. I'm looking forward to it.
They were able to get pressure up the middle quite a bit.
Yep, and if you in the Florida State and App State in particular, they run a little bit different scheme than we do, in the run game, and so those guys did a really, really good job of preparing for it. They shot gaps, they got skinny, they were able to be disruptive, and I think that's what led to a lot of the TFLs that they had. And I think they lead the country in tackles for loss too, and so it's going to be a great challenge for us to be able to run the ball, and then with their structure, they're going to challenge you in the run game because they're going to have a 7th or an 8th defender with the outside linebacker or the safety fitting, near the box, and so we're going to have to come out and execute in all areas, being able to run it and also be able to pass it.
How have you seen them improve under Clemson? I guess each year it seems like they're getting a little better.
Well, it looks like this is kind of